to start off with, you need to know about the weapons and the armour throughout the medieval period, and why, at the end of the day, it was such a brutal and bloodshed when they actually went to battle. Nah. So, to start off with, if we start with the armour. A gambeson, if we can, please. Okay, a gambeson hackathon is basically this white padding you can see here. White padding would be 30 layers of linen or stuffed with sheep. I mean, wool. You don't get it! So, this basically would absorb kinetic energy. However, it was absolutely useless against every weapon there was on the battlefield. So as you can tell, not many of them bothered with it, and if they didn't have it on for very long. The next piece of armour you'd expect to see on the battlefield, and was probably the most common piece you would have seen the Romans, certainly the Vikings, through to the Northern Saxon period, and right up to the end of the 15th. You would have still seen pieces of mail being used. Mail, as we call it, you would understand it as being called chain mail. Right? Again, we come back to the Edwardians renaming things, so I don't know why they had to do that. It's probably important for them, but for us, it's just mail. It's lots and lots and lots of links of wire riveted on the end together, forming a big map. It's absolutely fantastic. So I can take a sharp pointy thing, and I can cut against him, and I won't go through. However, anything really pointy goes in. No! Ow! More importantly, the mail itself will stop slashing cuts. In conjunction with the padding that he wears, it absorbs the kinetic energy, so soaking up some of the actual take if he was hit with a heavy blow. However, obviously armour didn't stay at this point because weapons changed and become more effective at bursting through the armour. So we then go on to plate. As you can see, his lower legs, all over his hands, and on the lower sections of his arms. We're talking about the 1340s at this point. 1340s, starting to see plate coming in, was commonly used. This armour afforded a great deal more protection because up until this point you carry a shield, and that was your primary defence. He's prodding himself in the chest, and again he's got a coat of plates, pieces of plate riveted into material to absorb the damage and stop, obviously, sharp pointy blows going through his chest. We'll just cover some of the weapons. Is everybody hearing me? Hey, don't need a ton on. Tools that were reworked. Certainly being over the 15th century, however, a 15th century halberd is basically a billet with an extra point on the back and on the top. This weapon basically afforded both hooking, slashing and stabbing all in one weapon. However, it originated from a simple farm tool to start off with. The next weapons you'd like to see are the axes, the maces and the flail. The axe over here we can see is called a bearded axe. This is 13th century coming through the 15th. The one you can see that's nice and shiny is something that you'd expect to see in a Viking. This one, however, 15th century. I'll just go into this one more importantly. The bearded one would be reworked. They fold the beard back on itself, increase the density of the head. They'd add Longshanks or steel strips down the side. They would afford the ability to defend yourself as in block and not lose the head of the weapon so you can continue to fight. That was the development of a basic forestry tool. Does anybody know what this is?
Morning Star.
Yeah, flail. Right, this particular tool would be the secondary weapon you'd expect to see a knight riding in on horseback. He'd go in on the gallop with the lance to start off with. Approximately moving at about 35 miles an hour in speed. He'd lance 2 or 3 people, retire, go back out, drop his helm, so he's down to an open face bassinet, hook his shield up, take hold of this, ride in, winging this underarm into someone's chin. Kids, put your fingers in your ears. Kids, fingers in the ears. This is the good bit for the adults, but not for you. Fingers in the ears. Okay, cool. Right. At 35 mile an hour, riding in, swinging out under the arm at 45 mile an hour, approximate impact speed of 85 mile an hour, taking the jaw off cleanly and causing a horrible splatter. The same splatter that you get down the aisle of the church as they scatter the holy water. Hence the reason why it's also known as the holy water sprinkler. Last but not least, not the commonest of weapons you see on the field, the sword. As you can see, this bunch are either very, very wealthy or a bunch of thieves.